Hello, food and mood. Have you ever thought about the food that you ate might be affecting your mood? I gave a presentation to a number of psychologists a few years ago, and I remember one of my opening comments was when someone comes in that is depressed and having real emotional problems, does anyone ever ask them what they're eating? And they had not thought about that. But there's definitely a connection, and I am going to tell you 4 connections there are between food and mood that any of us can be careful about and watch over. So I am Carol Amendola Dianca, board certified nutritionist and also known as the Italian nutritionist because of my cultural heritage. Anyhow, there are 4 very conclusive links between food and mood. And they are lengthened exposure to overall poor diet. That's number 1. Eating a poor diet over a number of years has definitely affected the mood of people, and we have proven this. The second is high consumption of sugar, and why is that? And I will explain that. The third one is the use of artificial sweeteners, which you may never have even thought of, but it definitely can affect mood. And then lastly is the brain-gut connection with food. So I have taken some of the slides that I had when I did my presentation for this conference I spoke at, and would like to share some of the facts with you. So the first thing, sugar. Sugar, of course, is the enemy. It's always number 1 on the list. We need to eliminate sugar. Why is that? Well, it's because sugar depletes, with reference to this topic that we're talking about, depletes the B vitamins that enhance the mood. So when you eat sugar, it's actually a non-nutrient because it's taking nutrients out of your biochemical system in order to metabolize it. Not only does it deplete B vitamins, it depletes chromium, and a vital mineral for keeping blood sugar levels stable. And the lack of blood sugar levels with the highs and the lows definitely affects mood. It also damages our cells because of inflammation. Too much sugar will cause inflammation, which is damaging to our biochemical system. So the high intake of sugar, which is 170 pounds a year on average today, which is an extraordinary amount of sugar and sweeteners, regular sweeteners, not artificial sweeteners. We will get to those next, but has definitely taken its toll on our mood. So the next time you're having a lot of highs and lows, think about your diet as well. So the other one that I wanted to talk about is the use of artificial sweeteners. And the artificial sweeteners are definitely being overconsumed at an amount that's way beyond the GRAS, which is our federal government in the United States, recognizes food as generally recognized as safe. However, that's in certain amounts. So certain small amounts for artificial sweeteners, and when we overdo it with artificial sweeteners, we're actually overdosing on something that is a chemical. It's a chemical that we're putting in our food. Artificial sweeteners were discovered in the 1800s by mistake, and they were initially used to treat diabetics that couldn't eat sugar, refined white sugar. And then it became just almost a fad, and then it became a trend, and then it became part of the SAD diet, standard American diet. So these little packets of artificial sweeteners are not necessarily our friend. They have been linked to even anxiety and jitters when you overdo the artificial sweeteners. Another thing I never recommend doing is putting an artificial sweetener in a hot drink, because that then alters the chemical in the artificial sweetener. So something we may want to be careful about. Artificial sweeteners are anywhere from 300 to 700 to 7,000 times sweeter than refined white sugar. And I'm not saying we should be eating refined white sugar at the rates that we are eating, but I will say that what happens when you get used to eating artificial sweeteners, that you can actually re-establish your brain and your taste for sweetness, where even something that's sweet, a piece of cake, a strawberry, or whatever else you would eat, does not taste as sweet as when we're using something 700 times sweeter than sugar. So that's limit the length and exposure to poor diet, high consumption of sugar, use of artificial sweeteners, and then something that we've learned about just recently that you may want to read up on if you haven't, but it's in the news everywhere, and that is the brain-gut connection. You know, they say fix your gut axis and you will fix your mood. So what happens is that our gut bio is very, very active with trillions of bacteria, good bacteria, that are producing additional nutrients for us at times, fermenting foods to give us the fermentation that is so good for us with the right bacteria. And but what happens to that is that when we take an antibiotic, we cut out our gut bio. Our whole culture is sometimes where our food culture is geared to be very unfriendly to our gut bio. And another thing that's so important, or the thing that's so important in the gut bio with relationship to this topic, is that neurotransmitters and chemical messengers can be developed in the gut bio, and they tell our body what to do and how to feel. So dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, all of these things that we need to keep our mood level are needed with essential nutrients. And tryptophan is an essential nutrient that acts as a precursor for building neurotransmitters. So the top 3 tryptophan foods that we need for building neurotransmitters are seeds, nuts, pumpkin, chia, flax, that whole category of foods, and then soya foods, the soybean, and then some cheese, which I'm not a big fan of cheese, but there are also nutrients that can help the gut bio to build to build the precursors for the neurotransmitters that keep our mood stable. I hope this is helpful to you. If it is, please subscribe to my channel. I would love to be able to do some more presentations so that I can send out more information that would help you, that I have seen help others over the many years as a nutritionist. Thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.